What do Wyatt Earp, Billy the Kid, and King Fisher have in common? They all live by the gun, and their names have become legends of the Old West. These men were notorious for their quick draw, sharp aim, and fearless approach to danger. The Old West was a rough and lawless frontier, and these gunslingers shaped its history, often by the barrel of a Colt revolver. From the gunfight at the OK Corral in Tombstone to the countless bank and train robberies led by figures like Jesse James, these moments define the dangerous and chaotic spirit of the frontier. Dive into some of the most notorious and dangerous gunslingers that the Wild West had to offer.
That's a real good idea.
John Wesley Hardin was known as one of the most violent and ruthless gunfighters of the Old West. He reportedly killed over 40 men, many of them simply because they angered him. Born in Texas in 1853, Hardin's life of violence began early. He killed his first man at the age of 15. Hardin's temper was legendary, and he once killed a man just for snoring too loudly in a neighboring hotel room. Hardin's reputation as a gunslinger grew as he faced lawmen, rival cowboys, and anyone who dared cross him. He was known for his lightning-fast draw and his uncanny accuracy, which allowed him to come out on top in numerous confrontations. Even while on the run, Hardin found time to marry and father children, though his violent ways never subsided. He was eventually captured in 1877 and sentenced to 25 years in prison for the murder of a Texas lawman. During his imprisonment, Hardin studied law, and upon his release in 1894, he attempted to practice as an attorney. However, Hardin's past caught up with him on August 19, 1895, when he was shot and killed in a saloon by John Selman. Doc Holliday wasn't your typical gunslinger. He was a dentist by trade, but circumstances led him to a life of gambling and gunfighting. Born John Henry Holliday in 1851, he turned to the West after being diagnosed with tuberculosis at age 22. Knowing his days were numbered, his illness made him reckless as he believed he had nothing to lose. Holliday became close friends with lawman Wyatt Earp, and the two men formed a formidable partnership. Holliday played a key role in the infamous gunfight at the OK Corral on October 26, 1881. Armed with a shotgun and pistols, Holliday fought alongside the Earp brothers against the Clanton-McLaury gang in a 30-second exchange that left 3 outlaws dead. Holliday's reputation as a deadly gunslinger came not only from his involvement in the OK Corral, but also from numerous other gunfights. He was said to have killed as many as 12 men in barroom brawls and high-stakes disputes over gambling. Holliday's frail health, gaunt appearance, and frequent coughing fits belied his deadly prowess. Despite being frail from his illness, Holliday's deadly accuracy and fearless attitude made him one of the most formidable figures in the Old West. Pearl Hart was one of the last female stagecoach robbers in the Old West. Born in Canada in 1871, she moved to the United States in search of adventure, finding herself drawn to the rough-and-tumble lifestyle of the frontier. After leaving her abusive husband, Pearl worked a series of odd jobs before eventually teaming up with a partner named Joe Boot. In 1899, the duo planned and executed a stagecoach robbery near Globe, Arizona. Armed with a .38 revolver, they held up the stagecoach at gunpoint, taking $431, a significant amount at the time, and sparing the passengers any physical harm. Hart's charm and boldness made her a public fascination after her capture, and her dramatic escape from jail only added to her legend. When she was recaptured, Pearl famously declared during her trial, "I shall not consent to be tried under a law in which my sex had no voice in making." Her defiance struck a chord with the public, and she gained widespread media attention. Sentenced to 5 years in the Yuma Territorial Prison, Pearl was pardoned in 1902, likely due to her fame and the media circus surrounding her. She spent her later years away from the public eye, rumored to have worked in a Wild West show or settled quietly in Arizona. Pearl Hart's daring robbery, her dramatic courtroom declarations, and her challenge to societal norms earned her a place among the legends of the Old West. Jesse James was an outlaw, bank robber, and train robber, but to some, he was also a folk hero. Raised in Missouri, Jesse joined a Confederate guerrilla group during the Civil War at the age of 16, learning to shoot and fight in brutal skirmishes. The guerrilla warfare tactics he learned during the war such as hit-and-run attacks, ambushes, and disguises, would become trademarks of his later criminal career. After the war, Jesse formed the James Younger Gang with his brother Frank, carrying out at least 20 daring robberies across the Midwest. The gang robbed banks, trains, and stagecoaches, often making off with as much as $30,000, equivalent to nearly $900,000 today. Jesse's reputation as a gunslinger grew because he never hesitated to use his revolver when cornered. He was feared by lawmen and admired by those who saw him as a symbol of resistance against powerful corporations like the railroad companies. On April 3, 1882, Jesse James's life ended in betrayal when he was shot in the back by Robert Ford, a fellow gang member, while adjusting a picture on the wall of his home. Jesse's career spanned more than 16 years, during which he became one of the most wanted men in America. Despite his criminal ways, many viewed him as a Robin Hood figure, and his death at the hands of a traitorous friend only added to his tragic fate. Annie Oakley, born Phoebe Ann Moses in 1860 in Darke County, Ohio, was one of the sharpest shooters the world has ever known. Though not an outlaw, Oakley's incredible marksmanship made her a living legend in her own right. She began shooting at the age of 8, hunting to provide food for her impoverished family. Her natural talent with a rifle soon gained attention, and at 15, she defeated the renowned sharpshooter Frank Butler in a shooting match. This victory not only launched her career, but also led to her marriage to Butler, who became her partner and manager. Oakley joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show and quickly became its star attraction, demonstrating her uncanny ability to shoot targets with precision, even while riding a horse. She once shot a cigarette out of a man's mouth and split a playing card edge on from 30 paces away. An astonishing feat that wowed audiences across the United States and Europe. Her career with Buffalo Bill's show spanned 17 years, during which she performed for royalty, including Queen Victoria and Kaiser Wilhelm II. Oakley was also a strong advocate for women's rights and encouraged women to learn how to shoot, believing in their capability to protect themselves. Wyatt Earp was a lawman who became a legend through his courage and determination to bring order to the lawless West. Unlike many gunslingers, Wyatt didn't kill for thrill or revenge. He fought to maintain justice and protect his family. Wyatt served as a lawman in several towns, including Wichita and Dodge City, Kansas, where he made a name for himself as a no-nonsense enforcer. Dodge City was notorious for its violence, but Wyatt's firm hand helped bring a semblance of order to the town. His most defining moment came during the gunfight at the OK Corral in Tombstone, Arizona, on October 26, 1881. Alongside his brothers Virgil and Morgan and his friend Doc Holliday, Wyatt faced off against the Clanton-McLaury gang in a brief but fierce exchange of gunfire that left 3 outlaws dead. Wyatt's ability to walk through the chaos unscathed earned him a reputation as a man who couldn't be killed. After Tombstone, Wyatt sought revenge for his brother Morgan's assassination, embarking on a vendetta ride that led to the deaths of several of his enemies. Wyatt's later years were spent in California, where he lived quietly, often consulted by filmmakers who wanted to capture the essence of the Old West. During his lifetime, Wyatt worked as a saloon keeper, prospector, and boxing referee, showing the many sides of a man who became an enduring legend. Wild Bill Hickok was one of the most legendary lawmen of the Old West. Known for his long hair, fancy clothes, and steady aim, Hickock was a master of the quick draw. He gained fame as a Union scout during the Civil War and later as a sheriff and marshal, enforcing law in some of the roughest towns. One of his most famous moments came in Springfield, Missouri in 1865, when he faced Dave Tutt in a one-on-one duel over a gambling dispute. In front of a crowd of around 200 people, Hickock killed Tutt with a single, well-aimed shot from 75 yards away, an impressive feat that cemented his reputation as a deadly gunslinger. Hickok's courage was undeniable. He faced dozens of assassination attempts throughout his career, but his calm under pressure always saw him through. Hickok's ultimate fate came on August 2, 1876, while playing poker in Deadwood, South Dakota. He was shot in the back by Jack McCall, an outlaw seeking revenge. Hickock died holding a pair of aces and eights, forever known as the dead man's hand. His bravery as a stagecoach guard, protecting passengers and fighting off bandits, and his relentless pursuit of justice made him an iconic figure of the West. The number of gunfights and near-death experiences Hickock faced make it clear. He was one of the deadliest figures of the Old West. Hickok's presence as a marshal brought law and order to towns like Abilene, Kansas, where he walked the streets with 2 Colt revolvers, his piercing gaze keeping troublemakers at bay. Belle Starr, known as the Bandit Queen, was one of the most notorious female outlaws of the Old West. Born Myra Maybelle Shirley in 1848 in Carthage, Missouri, she was drawn to the outlaw life after becoming acquainted with the infamous James Younger gang. Starr developed a reputation for her sharpshooting and fearless demeanor, and she wasn't afraid to hold her own against male counterparts in a world dominated by violence. She operated as a horse thief and cattle rustler, and she was known to have connections with some of the most infamous outlaws, including Jesse James and the Dalton Gang. Her base of operations was often in Indian Territory, where law enforcement was limited, allowing her to evade capture for years. Belle's cunning made her a master of evasion. She was arrested several times, but her charm and intelligence often helped her avoid serious punishment. Starr was known for her stylish dress, often wearing black velvet and riding side saddle, adding to her iconic image. On February 3, 1889, Belle was ultimately ambushed and killed near her home in Oklahoma, possibly by someone she knew, making her death a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Belle Starr's defiant spirit and daring exploits made her one of the most infamous female figures of the Old West, a symbol of rebellion against societal norms. Billy the Kid, born Henry McCarty, became one of the most feared outlaws in the West before he even turned 21. Known for his boyish looks and charismatic smile, Billy was a natural survivor who grew up in the tough environments of frontier towns. Orphaned at the age of 14, Billy quickly learned to fend for himself, becoming involved in petty theft before escalating to more serious crimes. He soon became entangled in the Lincoln County War, a violent feud between rival factions in New Mexico, where he sided with John Tunstall's group, the Regulators. Billy was known for his incredible speed with a revolver, earning the nickname The Kid for his youthful appearance and energy. He is rumored to have killed 21 men, one for each year of his life, though historical accounts suggest the actual number may have been closer to 9. One of his most daring escapes came on April 28, 1881, when he killed 2 deputies during a jailbreak in Lincoln, New Mexico. Despite his infamy, many viewed Billy as a kind-hearted outlaw, often defending the downtrodden. The Lincoln County War was a turning point for Billy, turning him from a petty thief into a full-fledged outlaw. His gunfights, including his involvement in the death of Sheriff William Brady, made him a marked man. Billy's final moments came when Sheriff Pat Garrett tracked him down to a darkened room in Fort Sumner on July 14, 1881. Garrett shot Billy dead, ending the wild and unpredictable life of the young outlaw. Billy's charm and his many escapes from lawmen created an almost mythical image, one of a young man who refused to bow down to authority and paid the ultimate price. King Fisher was a flashy and stylish gunslinger who transitioned from outlaw to lawman. Born in Texas in 1853, Fisher began his career as a cattle rustler, leading a gang that terrorized the Mexican borderlands. He was known for his flamboyant dress, often sporting colorful clothing, ornate vests, and silver-plated pistols. Fisher's reputation as a deadly gunslinger grew as he defended his territory against rivals and lawmen alike. Fisher was said to have killed over a dozen men in gunfights, always emerging victorious due to his quick draw and accuracy. In the 1880s, Fisher eventually switched sides, becoming a lawman himself, and worked to maintain order in his jurisdiction. On March 11, 1884, Fisher's life ended in an ambush while attending a play with Ben Thompson in San Antonio. Both were gunned down in a hail of bullets. King Fisher's ability to adapt from outlaw to lawman, his flashy style, and his deadly skills with a gun made him one of the most intriguing figures of the Old West.